Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Matt Sherwood with Sherwood Spine and Sport. In this next series of videos, I'm going to be going over 4 of the most common exercises I see people doing that are either causing injuries to the spine or they are contributing to injuries of the spine. So I want to go over the exercises in general, talk about why they're producing spine injuries, and then I want to go over either modifications to that particular exercise or just safer substitutions that are going to work the same muscle group and accomplish the same goal, but just in a much safer manner for the spine. You're going to notice a common theme throughout all of these exercises. One is being that we need the spine to be in a neutral position, so flat. We don't want it to be overarched and we don't want it to be rounded. So all of these, if we can just correct and maintain a neutral spine, you can almost perform any exercise, any activity, as long as the spine is in a nice neutral, stable position. When we get super curved or rounded, that's when we start to have problems. So it's customary when we have a patient in for lower back pain, just during the history process, we like to ask what kind of things they're doing as far as working out, if they are working out, and then specifically what they're doing. So this first exercise I'm going to go over is just the leg lift. So this is a very common one because everyone wants to try to get, six-pack abs. So this is where we're lying flat on our back and we're lifting both legs at a time to try to really get those, that six-pack, engaged and stronger. What's actually interesting about the leg raise exercise is it's actually an orthopedic test. I believe it's called Milgram's. So you're lying on your back and then we have the patient lift both legs and then we see if that reproduces their back pain. And a lot of patients with disc problems or joint irritation, it does reproduce their back pain because it produces a tremendous amount of strain and stress through the joints in the low back and through the disc, especially if we're not bracing the spine properly. So I'm going to demonstrate this exercise, and then we'll talk about ways to kind of modify a little bit and then just give you like a substitution for it that's much safer. All right, everybody. So here's going to be our start position for these leg lifts. Now, the first thing you want to make sure you do is have something under your head, because this can also cause a neck problem. Because if we're lifting our legs, so here's our leg lift exercise we're doing, up and then typically nice down there. So usually what you're going to feel if you do that, you're going to hyperextend your neck, shoulders will come up, and then you're going to have a neck issue on top of a low back issue. So at least if you're at the gym or whatever, roll up a towel or something and then put that under your head, and that'll at least make it a little more neutral here. Now, what you'll notice is when we lay down and you put your hands under here, you're going to have an arch. So what happens then, we're starting with an arch, and then when we lift both legs, we're not just engaging our abs, we're using our psoas muscle, which is a deep hip flexor, and that not only flexes the hip or brings the hip up, it also will extend the spine, and that will create compression on the low back, the discs and joints, so on and so forth. So a lot of people will actually complain. They'll get like a hip that snaps on the way down, or like a little popping that keeps happening repetitively in the back. That's just your indicator that your spine is not stabilized properly, and that's going to create those issues. And when the spine's popping repetitively in low back, you're getting some instability, and that can actually turn into be a huge problem. So if you're getting popping in that low back, you should absolutely not be doing this under any circumstance. But the proper way to do it, at least as best as possible, is make sure that we get the spine flat as we can first. So we do that by getting the rib cage down. We don't want to suck our belly button in toward the floor and hollow this out, because that will create reciprocal tension or tightening of the back muscles, and then that creates compression. So it's almost as if we were going to do a crunch without actually doing the crunch. Bring the rib cage down. Now we're at least a little more flat and stable, and then we can lift slowly up, and then we can lift slowly back. Now, I really don't think under most circumstances anybody should have to do those exercises. So a good alternative that's a lot safer for the spine and works it just as well is if we get our compression first, so we get the spine nice and flat. Bring both legs up. We're typically about 90-90 here. Arms will be up just to ensure we're in the same position each time. And then what we do is now when the legs are up, we have much more leverage and it's easier to get that spine flat. It's a lot easier than if we're here. And everybody's curves of the spine are different. Some people have a more flat low back, some have a very deep curve. Mine's a little more flat, so it's easier for me to flatten here. Some people, if the curve is deep, regardless of how strong, they cannot keep that spine flat. So this way, we can get the spine nice and flat, cheating a little bit, but then get engaged. And now we can just slowly lower one at a time and then back up. And then alternate. You go as far down as you can until the back arches. So once the back starts to pop up, you can't keep it flat, you're done. You bring it back up. So it doesn't matter if you're going down 2 inches, that's still gonna work the abs pretty well. If you can do this pretty easy, you're not shaking up a storm, then what you can do is you can do this right leg, for example, and then bring the left one back up, and then alternate that way. And that's gonna get that even more. That will burn just like you're doing those leg lifts. It works it really well. And more importantly, it's a nice neutral position for the spine. So it's nice and safe for the discs. It's good for the joints. It works, teaches good intra-abdominal pressure, get your pelvic floor. And that's a much safer and effective alternative as compared to those leg lifts.